Welcome back to the channel, and if you are new around here, welcome to the channel. My name's Robert, I'm the host of The Green Fee, and today we're going to do something pretty fun and maybe a little bit different. Today we are going to travel back in time a little bit, and we are going to go and compare a couple of eras of golf that we haven't seen in a long time. So let's take a look at what we're doing today. All right, so today we are going to have a couple of different eras. Like I said, we are going to go back to the 80s with some Hogan directors, with the McGregor, Oil Hardened Persimmon, or a Cleveland Classic. Both kind of do the same thing, but I thought they're both pretty cool looking, so I picked them both up. And then we got this other Cleveland Classics down here, 17-degree 4-wood. And then we got a designed by Cleveland Classic beryllium copper putter down here. So we're going to play those, and we are going to compare them to these. We got May Malone Eagle, a Niblick. We got an old wood, putters, wedges, about 6 old clubs. And when I say old clubs, we're talking about, this bag doesn't stand up by itself very well. Let's let that down, kind of easy there. So when I say a different era, I'm talking about hickory shafted golf clubs. These are not like those ones that they're called like P-tone, something like that, where they're actually metal, but they were painted to look like wood. We're talking about 100 years old, 75 years old, an old Niblick. Look at that thing. You can tell I've hit it a couple of times. But this is a different way to play golf, let me tell you. We will take this out there today. Unfortunately, it's really hard to get golf balls from this era. You can buy some replicas. But after doing some research, I have found that some Srixon soft feel golf balls actually do a pretty good job of replicating those old featheries and won't break your clubs. It's probably the best thing for modern hickory golf. So let's take these out, have some fun, and see how they perform. Alright, so what we're doing to tell the difference between the shots with hickories and the shots with the 80s era Hogan stuff is going to be the golf ball that we're using. So the hickories are actually getting a yellow Srixon golf ball. It's one that comes pretty well recommended in terms of the playability, so it doesn't break the clubs, right? These clubs can be kind of fragile, especially with the old wood shafts. So they'll be getting the bright yellow Srixon. And what's fun with the Hogans is I actually found a six golf balls of Hogan 392s from the era these directors were actually made. So it's a Sterling covered golf ball. Pretty cool. Golf balls are going to be pretty close, but let's see how it does. All right, so I am about 80 yards from the green would be my guess. Don't have the best lie in the world. That hickory driver really soft. It ended up going a little right. Don't have the most direct path, but we're going to go with the old school Niblick. Let's see how it does. All right, so didn't hit the green. That tree knocked it down. But something that's kind of cool about hickory golf is people don't realize that the game is much different now than it was back then, in the sense of how it's played. Right, back then, 100 years ago, it was more of a ground-based game. You would hit the ball and watch it roll out, things like that. Modern golf is definitely an aerial-based game where you hit it high, get it to stop. You don't want any roll because that's unpredictable. So it's a very different game. And up there you can actually see the shot I hit with the Hogans. Got a little bit closer, had some trees in the way there as well. But hit it kind of high to try and get it up there. Just like with any golf game, round of golf, you need to make putts, and I couldn't make putts. So nothing new from my normal game. Drives on the second hole. The hickory went right down the middle, about 200, and the Hogan I snap hooked and took it off a tree and had about 180 yards in. So let's see how this one goes. All right, so we're heading over to number 3, all tied up. The Hogans, that drive really killed those Hogans right there. But we got a par 3, and here's where hitting with hickories gets really interesting, right? I got this kind of longer shot in. You can kind of see it back there. Got a longer shot. What kind of iron do you take here? What's fascinating about hickory golf is, you know, you don't really have full sets. So I have in my hickory set one wood. I have one wood. I have a long iron, a short iron, and a wedge, and a putter. So I'm playing with 6 clubs basically. So you have to get really creative when it comes to what you're gonna do in terms of shot making, right? With the Hogans, it's 145 yards. I'll take a 9 iron, see what happens. So, speaking of, let's see what happens. All right, instead of looking at my mean mug, I'm gonna let you guys enjoy this walk with me. It's not the prettiest day here in Dallas. It's supposed to rain at any moment, and these are the days I love coming out to play hickory golf. And the reason being is usually I come out to this 9-hole course here in Arlington called Meadowbrook Park. And what's nice about it is I think this round with this pull cart, because this bag doesn't stand up, cost me 16 bucks, right? 16 bucks, a couple hours of entertainment. That's like a movie. So I get to come out on days that are super nice where I could go play 18 holes and I have a lot of time. I'm not going to play hickory golf because I want to maximize every round of golf I can play. But what I will say is hickory golf is fun for days where the course is maybe a little wet, where it looks like it could rain at any second. It's really, really, really fun to do. The other cool thing about hickory golf is it doesn't take much money to get into it, right? Each of these clubs cost me 20 bucks. Found some for 10. You can find them at like antique stores, sometimes for 5-10 bucks. And just with a little bit of TLC, you can actually get them in pretty good shape. You can also buy some hickory sets, but you don't necessarily have to. So you can actually see here, this is where that Hogan 9 iron landed. And right up there, you can see that yellow dot. That's where the hickory like 5 iron, my longer iron, ended up. So it's a pretty big difference, but let's see how we do from here. All right, so like I said, gonna give you all the view and walk the course with me today. It's not, like I said, the prettiest course, but it cost me $16. So it's short, it's a par 3. I can actually play hickories out here and not feel like I'm abusing myself. So that is why I came out here. Now, one of the things that's really cool about hickory golf clubs is a lot of times they're about 100 years old, which is pretty dang cool when you think about it, right? Playing something that's 100 years old, who knows what these clubs have been through. They've been around longer than World War II. These clubs were around before World War II. Heck, somewhere around before World War I. That's a pretty cool thing, man. They've seen some stuff. These are pieces of history, really, when you think about it. Golf history and where we've come as an industry, as a game. And I gotta say, that's pretty dang cool. When I play hickories, those are the kind of things that I think of. So as you can see, popped one a little bit short and right with the hickory 5 iron. But just something kind of cool to think about if you want to get into the game and you're a history guy. It's pretty cool that we get to play with things that our great-grandparents developed. Our great-great-great-grandparents developed. It's a pretty cool thing to deal, man. All right, let's see how I do from here. All right, so I actually chunked 2 wedges. That's one of the hard things about playing hickories is these leading edges are sharp. They're going to dig into the ground, and if you're playing something that's even a little bit wet, that is not what you're going to want to see. So here
is actually the Hogans shot. Took a 6-iron into the wind. Just missed it a little left, a little short. Should be playable though. Alright, so through 4, gotta say right now, the Hogans are winning because of those 2 chunk shots. It was through 3 we were tied up. The Hickories had a good hole on hole 2. In hole 3 they kind of tied it up. But now with those 2 chunks, both 2-putted from there, Hogans are now up 2 shots. So, I'm sorry, 1 shot. Hogans are up 1 shot. So, let's see how we do on this slightly longer par 4 here. Alright. I decided on that one to use that Cleveland Classic 4-wood, and I absolutely striped it. That thing is down the middle, probably 225. If that holds, and I can replicate that again, that may be going in my actual bag, not just my my Hogan throwback Hickory bag. My goodness, that was great. Alright, so besides that, you're probably wondering, if you're even kind of interested in these Hickories as I talk about them, what it's like playing 100-year-old clubs. And I gotta tell you, it's interesting. It's different for sure. In terms of feel, they're not gonna feel like a Mizuno, right? If you mishit them, it feels harsh. It doesn't feel good, I would say. But there's something really rewarding about hitting it square in the middle of the club face when you do. Watching a ball come off a club that looks like a frying pan and go even kind of straight is beyond rewarding. Get a new feel of how they played it back then, man. Mishits are punished, but when you play with these, you can't help but think like Old Tom Morris was playing with these and he was just killing everybody and just dominating the game. And while I think Old Tom Morris would not be anywhere near what current level guys are, you get an appreciation for what those guys were able to do. Alright, so I kind of topped that Hickory shot there, but actually didn't go that much shorter than anything else. For instance, I want you to look at this club. Look at that. Mild English, sweet spot irons, crow flight. That thing is a frying pan. Except, look at that sole. It's the thinnest sole you've ever seen. So, there's something really cool about hitting one of these solid and knowing that you did a good job with it. Alright, so we're going to have our first real shot at birdie here. Down the middle with that Cleveland Classics 4-wood. Absolutely smoked it. Holy moly. Still can't get over how well I hit that. If you can see the yellow dot up there, that's where that last crow flight shot went. Not the best, but again, they're pretty dang hard to hit, guys. Alright, so like I was saying about the Hickories, there's something pretty cool about them, man. It's not the best golf in the world. I'm not taking these out to 7,000 yards and trying to hit it or anything like that. I'm just trying to have a good time, kill a couple hours for me, this is my Saturday, it's a Wednesday right now. Try to just kill a couple hours. Like, I'm going to the Stars game tonight, the Dallas Stars game, with my wife and our old roommate, and we're gonna have a good time there. I didn't want to dedicate 4 hours to the round today, so a couple hours with those Hogans, with the Hickories, I thought was a pretty good idea. So I don't know if they're perfect for you. It's a fun little thing to do on a Wednesday for me, especially during the off season when maybe the courses aren't in the best shape, or it looks like it's going to rain for a couple hours, or maybe you just have a couple hours to kill before you got something to do. The Hickories are a fun little option, especially if you can find a nice little 9-hole like this. It gives you a good variety of shots to hit. So try them out. All right, so Hickories, drop another 2 on that last hole to the Hogans. The Hogans are definitely looking like a better option in terms of performance, but you know, we kind of knew that going into this. That's not a big surprise, right? They're 50 years newer than these are. Just like my current irons are going to be better than the Hogans in terms of ball speed, forgiveness, things like that. So, not a big surprise there. Now, if you are deciding to play Hickories, right, then there are a couple of things you'll need to know, and I will go after them right after I hit the shot. All right, so some of the things you need to know about Hickory Golf and Hickory Golf clubs. So first of all, the first thing you need to know is that you will not be alone. There are literally, and I mean this literally, leagues, tournaments. There's an organization, sorry, I got hit by a stick there, got caught under the wheel of the push cart, sorry about that. And there are leagues, organizations that do this. The Society of Hickory Golfers. I actually am a member. They do tournaments all over the country. So if you aren't ready to buy your own clubs yet, you can just join them, show up to a tournament, and they will gladly get you set up with everything you need to play. All right, so since this is an equipment podcast, let's talk about Hickory equipment. Like, there are some pitfalls that you need to be aware of when you are buying Hickory golf clubs, right? I didn't know these, but now I do, and it has changed the way I look at Hickory golf clubs and the way I take care of them, I'd say. So the first thing is pretty basic, but there are modern Hickory golf clubs and there are originals. So you have modern replicas and you have originals, right? So these modern versions, these replicas, are done in a way that conforms with the rules of the Hickory Golf Society, the Society of Hickory Golfers, or whatever it's called. And they actually use hickory wood shafts. They use heads that are shaped in that model, right, that type, but they don't feel, they look modern. For me, I went with the classic old school style because that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to play with 100-year-old golf clubs, not replicas of 100-year-old golf clubs. I don't have any problem with people who do decide to play with the modern version, right? I'm not a purist or anything like that. I play Hickory Golf 2-3 times a year. But if you play in a tournament, that is something to be aware of. The other thing to be aware of with Hickory golf clubs is going to be what they are like when you buy them. Okay, so when I started, nobody told me that you needed to reset the clubs. Okay, so these things are 100 years old, right? That club right there, it's 100 years old. And no one's probably taken that good of care of it. Let's just be honest with one another. Okay? People probably aren't taking very good care of these. They've been in attics, all that kind of stuff. And so, like this one, for example, that I currently have, this one right here, is ready to break at any moment. Because I didn't reset it, and you can just listen when I hit it on the ground. Hear how loose that head is? So you got to do something called repinning. And you can actually see that little circle right there is a pin. Because back in the day, they didn't have glue. And you actually need to punch that pin out with like a punch and reset it, or your club's going to break. I didn't reset the pin on some of these. Like this one I haven't reset because I just didn't get to it. And so it could break at any moment. Now, that being said, a new shaft is $20 if I really wanted a new hickory shaft. Or I'll just go to an antique store, Goodwill, something like that, and just find another long iron like this with the hickory shaft. That's one of the cool things about hickories is they don't match. They didn't create matching sets back then. So you can just grab and choose and pick and choose your clubs. So this is a Hillerich and Bradsby company. I don't have another one of their clubs in my bag. So kind of cool thing to do there as well. So just be sure that you're buying things that are either already been set or don't sound like that. All right, let's play this hole. Okay, so talked about resetting the irons and how you do kind of have to do that if you want them to last, or you can just not worry about it, hit them till they die, and then I get a new one. What's funny is I actually didn't reset one, took it into a simulator at my old job, and we were just seeing how the ball speeds were compared to like a new version of the Hot Metal Pro, something like that, new clubs like that, and obviously they're nowhere close. But I took 2 swings, second swing, I felt the head, the shaft got really light, and we all know what that means, and that is simply the head broke off. Never fun, but you know, I could replace it. I could replace the shaft. I ended up just replacing the club because I found one for $10. Right? I'm not in love with any of these clubs so much that I don't want to replace them. Now, if I were hitting my irons or something like that that I currently have and one broke, I would find a way to get it redone and remade up, but didn't have to deal with that issue. So kind of nice thing with hickories. Kind of sucks that they can break because they're 100-year-old pieces of wood, but also kind of nice that you can just replace them pretty easily if you need to. So let's see what this 2-iron got me. Not a very good lie, so let's grab the niblick and see what we can do. All right, so one of the other negatives about these clubs is this is a wedge. Look at that sole. Look how sharp that leading edge is. So in this hard pan lie right here, this dirt, right, I was hitting out of dirt. Actually, I think it's sand, but it's just compacted dirt where there's no grass. Just stuck down in that. I know it was hard, but it just dug in. When we talk about shovels, that was a pretty big one there. So I hacked it out about 10 yards. Let's see what happens here. All right, so I'm on hole 8 of 9, just finished up number 7, walking over to 8, and I got told that I can't hit 2 golf balls. So I think from here on I'm gonna keep hitting these Hogans because this is the first time I've played with them, but I'll continue to talk about these 100-year-old golf clubs with you guys because I think they're really, really cool. Another cool thing about this little course here is, if you're a Cowboys fan, it's pretty cool. It looks like you're hitting towards the stadium. It's a pretty good ways away. It looks like you're hitting into like its parking lot, but you're not. It's a pretty good distance away, but pretty cool there. Pretty nice little view here. So let's hit these Hogans and have some fun with it from here on out. How's that sound, guys? All right, so we talked about resetting. We talked about the cool groups that are involved in Hickory Golf that will actually set you up pretty well with a bunch of clubs. So let's talk about how you actually hit these clubs. So as you can see, they're pretty different, right? As I showed you guys earlier, it's a pretty different way of swinging the golf club to take these. If you come in too steep, I mean, absolutely, you are just going to dig right into the ground, and it's just going to stick, and it's going to go nowhere. Also, the sweet spot is the size of a pinhead, so you got to kind of expect that as well. The biggest thing when playing Hickory Golf is to manage your expectations. If you're new to it, even if you're a veteran to it, don't go out thinking you're going to play the same course you always play and shoot the same score you're always going to play. You're not. They're just not as good as that. But it can be fun if you go in with the right expectations. My goal in 2022 is to actually play in a Hickory tournament. My work schedule kind of hurts that a little bit, but the community is really cool, really helpful if you go to the right places and you ask the right questions. A lot of people are more than happy to help you out because they're cool. They're excited that somebody is actually playing the sport the way they love to. Overall, I think it's a really fun way to play golf, though. And if you're out on a nice day like this, it's a little windy here, it's kind of a cool thing to think about when how they used to play golf and the history behind it and check out some of the different things that you see here out on a golf course. The sound the clubs make is completely different than what you're probably used to. It's much more of a ting, that tink, tink, rather than a thwack like you currently hear. And that's just the metal they used, right? They didn't care about soft feel. The offset can be huge from one to the other. It can be close. There's just not a lot of matching clubs. And so, you get a very different, unique way of playing the game. The other thing I really like about it is the fact that you really have to think about your shots that you're hitting. You have to think about shot making, right? When you have 6 clubs, 5, 6 clubs, however many I have, you don't just step up and, oh, that's an 8-iron. You go, oh, this is my mashie, and my mashie, I think, goes this far when I hit it well. When I don't, it'll go... When I hit my mashie well, it goes 160. If I don't, it goes 85. And so you do a lot more quarter swings. You do more half swings. You are a little bit more finesse when it comes to the game when you are playing with these hickories. So I say give it a go. All right, so 3-iron. Pulled it pretty far left, didn't go as far as I wanted to. Kind of hit it off the toe. You can actually see it right there. So, not a bad shot. Not a good shot by any means, but we're going to see how it goes from here. This is another fun little aspect to get into, is a little bit of retro golf. Maybe the hickories aren't for you, right? Maybe you don't want to play hickory golf. The clubs, it's too complicated. It's... You don't like the special rules they have for tournaments. You just don't like it. It's not for you. I get it. It's not for everybody. But retro golf should be for everybody. Play what your grandparents played for a little bit. It'll do a couple of things. It'll give you a little bit of appreciation for your current clubs. But 2, these were some pretty good clubs when they made them, right? We have pretty much any set of Hogans you can find are usually pretty solid clubs. There's a couple that I personally am not a fan of, but yeah, these directors, they look great. They're in great shape. The guy who I bought them from said they were his grandfather's, and his grandfather loved Ben Hogan and thought Ben Hogan stuff was so cool, and passed away, and he said he wasn't much of a golfer, and so he wanted to give them to somebody who would play them. So let's honor that guy's grandfather by doing what his grandfather loved to do with his golf clubs and play with them. His grandfather took great care of them, you can tell just by looking at it. So let's see if we can use them to get a birdie right here. All right, we're probably not going to get that birdie. Missed the green, stuck underneath the tree, so it didn't really have many places to go. Just tried to punch it out, keep it low, see what we can do with it. Maybe chip up for birdie in this round. 4 or 5 under, something, or over, something like that. That'd be kind of nice, especially with no birdies. You know, it looks easy, but these greens aren't in the best of shape. It's a $16 golf course. Greens aren't in the best of shape. You're sometimes not playing from the best of lies. So, if I can get 4 or 5 over out here, usually pretty happy. All right, so as you guys can see, there's the clubhouse, little parking lot, nothing major. Nice group of folks out here. It's always very low pressure. There's the first tee box. So, nice little round if you're learning how to golf in the Dallas area. This one's not a bad way to learn. All right, guys, so that was actually a pretty fun round of golf. I actually just got home, was talking to my wife and telling her how much fun I had with these Hogans and how cool it was to get back out with the hickories. Not a lot of money is actually in this bag. I think the Cleveland Classic cost me $10. That McGregor cost me $5. This Cleveland Classic cost me $10. The Hogans cost me $50. And I probably got about $100 worth of hickories in here. And I had an awesome 2 hours. These clubs are in great shape. Told you guys some of the pitfalls to look out for if you're going out to buy hickories, play some hickories, things like that. What to
what to kind of look out for and things of that nature. So hopefully you get into either some retro clubs, you start looking on Facebook, eBay, Craigslist for some of these retro clubs, and you can start there. And then if you figure out you like those, move on down to the Hickory lineup where you can reset and refinish and join some fun leagues. Alright, so that's it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed walking the course and learning a little bit about Hickory Golf. The golf clubs are pretty cool. They're a fun way to play golf, and really anytime you can get your hands on something that's 100 years old, that's a pretty cool thing to do. So I recommend you give it a try. If you have any questions about Hickory Golf or about retro golf, where you can find some clubs, or if they're if the clubs you're looking at are a good deal, follow me on social media, reach out on social media. You can find me at The Green Fee everywhere you go. Twitter, it's The Green Fee 1, but if you search The Green Fee, I'm going to pop up there. So if you do have any questions, please let me know. And don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel, and you can get all this awesome content that I'm putting out.